Since the conception of space travel, the industry has been dominated by government-run groups, but a perhaps unexpected side effect of this is the control of the space above that falls almost solely into the hands of the government. Or maybe that was completely intended. Regardless, the fact is, government-run organizations, specifically NASA, control exactly what you know and see from outer space, and also what you don't see. In this Sci-5, we list off 5 examples of just that, with 5 times NASA's live stream mysteriously cut out. Number 5. The mysterious object that sped away from view. In January of 2017, John Craddock of Wolverhampton, United Kingdom, claims to have been showing a friend of his the ISS live feed when something seemingly innocent occurred. The feed randomly cut out. Given that the feed comes from space, and internet on Earth can even be incredibly laggy at times, a live feed cutting out is really nothing special at all. But when the feed came back 35 seconds later, things escalated rather quickly. Craddock says he saw a very strange object appear on the screen. The object looked large, round, and metallic. From his description, the object appeared to be very small at first and then continued to grow bigger, as if flying closer to the camera. This lasted for about 25 seconds. Take a look at the video of the incident. Craddock says he has been watching the feed for years, but had never seen anything even remotely close to what he witnessed that day. It is his personal opinion that this must be proof of alien spaceships, as nothing human can fly that high. The odd thing is that the feed cut out before the mysterious object appeared, not when it was first spotted. It could be possible that due to delay, whoever decided to pull the feed saw the object first and did not take the delay into account. Or perhaps there is another explanation to the story. What do you make of it? Number 4. The Golden UFO. Another sighting that made waves in the UFO community is that of the supposed hundreds of miles long massive Golden UFO. While watching the ISS live feed, viewers noticed a bright golden light that appeared to be at least 200 miles away from the camera. As the ISS flew past the golden light in orbit, the large object seemed to stay in its place just above Earth. This is when the feed is mysteriously cut off. Take a look at the footage. Many online viewers immediately equated the large object to that of alien origin, but given the sheer massiveness of the object, even some UFO believers have a hard time wrapping their minds around what this would mean if it were true. Could UFOs the size of cities be hovering over our world? If so, how could they go so unnoticed? Could it be that technology is disguising the crafts? Perhaps this is just a case where the technology failed? Trying to rationalize while keeping with the theme of UFOs in this instance can be quite difficult, which is why some are passing off the idea completely. One UFO debunker claims the golden object is simply a reflection of sunlight through clouds. But if this is the case, why cut the feed? Do you think that this example is too outlandish, or is it possible that massive UFOs, bigger than we ever imagined, are hovering just over our world? Number 3. 6 orbs fly by the ISS. StreetCap1 is a UFO spotter who spends hours watching ISS live camera feeds in hopes of spotting anomalies that may point to the existence of aliens in our solar system. The YouTuber has found many examples of what could be exactly what they're looking for, but this one in particular is incredibly hard to dismiss as anything else. As they were watching this feed, strange faded lights appeared to be floating by incredibly close to the International Space Station. The objects slowly float by what looks like mere meters from the camera. It looks as if the lights could be a large single UFO or even 6 individual ones. Take a look. Following this, the feed did not go to its normal blue screen that it does when it cuts out, but this hasn't stopped some from suggesting NASA is still censoring the content. Many UFO hunters say this is only part of the video, and after the initial view, the feed was cut and replaced with stock to fill until the object was completely out of view. But again, not all believe this is the case, let alone that the orbs were from an unidentified object. Scott Brando is a UFO investigator who runs a hoax-busting website who claims these orbs are nothing more than ice particles. This explanation is commonly used to dispute any anomalies caught on the feed, but is this just an excuse? What do you think? Number 2. The SpaceX complete blackout. This next entry is less of a single cutout and more of a complete blackout. Elon Musk's SpaceX is perhaps the most successful private aerospace manufacturer and space transportation company in the world, boasting incredible feats such as being the first private company to send a satellite into geosynchronous orbit, the relaunch and landing of a used orbital rocket, and the first private company to send a spacecraft to the International Space Station. The company seems to be paving the way to the future of space travel, where government-run organizations aren't the be-all and end-all when it comes to escaping our orbit, and it seems this may be scaring governments. Back in early 2018, the company was blocked from giving its fans a live feed broadcast from the new satellites it had released into orbit, and for this, the company blames the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Apparently, the NOAA has taken a nearly decade-old law into reinterpretation and implementation. The agency has decided that SpaceX, along with any other commercial company, must apply for a license to broadcast video from orbit. The administration stated, now that launch companies are putting video cameras on Stage 2 rockets that reach an on-orbit status, all such launches will be held to the requirements of the law and its conditions. Now, this law has apparently been in place since at least 2010, so why have we been able to see other SpaceX broadcasts, such as the world-famous Tesla launch? The NOAA simply says they were unaware SpaceX didn't have a license. What's even more odd is that SpaceX was already supposedly exempt from the restriction, as they were using what classified as small handheld cameras that did not qualify as a remote sensing space system. SpaceX has complied with the government in situations since, which just makes the occurrence even more strange. Why were they blacked out so randomly? What was so special about this specific satellite launch? Why are there such strict regulations on videos from space anyway? What do you think? Should private companies be restricted from streaming video in the first place? And number 1, the Horseshoe UFO. This is yet another example that comes from a civilian monitoring the system, waiting for something unusual to happen. Scott Waring from UFO Sightings Daily was watching the ISS live feed when the mysteriously large horseshoe shape appeared. Not long after first spotting the odd figure, the feed screen went blue, not unlike other times when strange objects appear. When watching the footage closely, UFO enthusiasts believe the object seems to be rotating on its face, that is, until the feed cuts out. Take a look at the video. The footage made waves on the internet, with many unable to explain it, thus leading to the thought that this is in fact proof of UFOs in our orbit. But as usual in these cases, skeptics say otherwise. A former NASA engineer named James Oberg says this and most instances like this one are actually something called space dandruff. Oberg describes the space dandruff as pieces that may have shed off of space vehicles during flight, such as ice flakes or paint chips. The difference between space dandruff and space junk is that space dandruff doesn't seem to pose a threat while in orbit, though space junk can be incredibly dangerous. But if this is the explanation for this Horseshoe UFO and other ones, why the correlation of live feed cutoffs whenever the items can be seen in view? If it is just harmless pieces of ice or paint chips, why would they need to be hidden from us? Do you think that this is evidence NASA is hiding the existence of UFOs from us? What do you make of the footage? Thanks for checking out this sci-fi. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications for the channel. Also, check out my last video, 5 sci-fi movies and shows based on real events. And be sure to stay tuned for future sci-fis on all things science and science fiction. And again, thank you so much to all my Patreon supporters for keeping me going on this project. If you want to support the channel too, the link to my Patreon is in the description. Thank you.